There's my animation.
My husband and I adopted her because my sister and her husband separated. They used to blame each other. It's your fault she's like that, it's your fault she's like that. And it doesn't really matter whose fault it is. It's really nobody's fault, it's just genetics.
I was sad that my mom and dad is fighting. I don't know why they were fighting at all. I was just so sad, very sad.
She didn't know she was autistic. She didn't know what autism was. I didn't realize she didn't know. So one day she comes up to me and wanted to know, because she heard me talking to her mom that she had autism. And she asked me, well, can I just go to the doctor and get a shot and get better?
I was devastated when I found out that I have autism when my aunt told it me. I was devastated, and I was about to freak out that do I have to get cured? I had a whole anxiety about being so different. And then my aunt explained to me that it's just a different form of who I am. She says that autism cannot be cured. You have to, you can beat your autism, you can treat your autism, but that does not mean you're going to be cured. You're going to stay the autistic person. I get to accept that.
Okie dokie. Pop right here. Hey, what's that? Akira?
How can I explain this to an 11-year-old about autism? So I found this book. And this book is about a grandfather explaining to his little grandson about autism. But his name was Charlie. So I went through the entire book and I changed Charlie to Danielle. And every time there was Charlie, I put Dani in it. See? And actually I made her read it with me. At the end of this book, she turned to me and said, oh, okay. She said, Auntie, Charlie is me, isn't it? And I said, yes.
I have a problem with face blindness, eye contact, and I get meltdowns.
What happens during meltdown sometimes?
Whole meltdown, depression. And I hit myself really hard, beat myself really bad.
And then your mom?
Yeah, I called my mom to gain sympathy.
Dani, we're just talking about it. We're just talking about it, right? She really wants to fit in. She does. So when she feels left out or not included, she always goes into her little world and starts dreaming up of different animation works that she could be working on, and that's her way of escaping not being accepted.
She explains this how she feels she's being pulled away from reality. So this is actually her being pulled away from kind of the real world and slipping into kind of an autistic world where she's all by herself. And then the rest of the chronicles are kind of her adventure inside of her head.
Dani ultimately was, pretty much on her own. So somebody with autism naturally tends to be in their own world and very closed in. And so she was like that naturally. And it took a lot of work with Sandy and I to pull her out of that. So yes, there's a tremendous difference in terms of the person she is now and the person she was at that point in time.
These lanyards are from events I go to over these years, like the Palm Springs International Animation Festival, there's Anime Expo, Beverly Hills Film Festival. That's all from past events. And those are these medals that I got from high school when I did production. If I was neurotypical, then I wouldn't do any animation work, animation, illustration, graphic arts. The ability to daydream, I tend to hyper-focus. I hyper-focus on one part thing to get everything done.
Over time, we just found out she was a very fascinating child. We just didn't realize it at the time. She was always very creative. She always left drawings all over the house. We had paper everywhere.
I used to have a crush on Joe Westlake, so I decided to do a version of myself as a mermaid and him as like a normal person.
She used to draw these really great little stories on books. She actually took those to the next level. Instead of doing picture books, she started animating them by herself, figuring out how to animate with just MS Paint and Photoshop.
When I was like 11 years old with the basic softwares, it gave me the insight that I could do something very special, like I can do animation through PowerPoint presentations.
As she started developing her characters, one of the things we realized was that she had tools, but she didn't have the right tools. And so at 14, we started really looking at giving her the tools necessary for her to develop her animation and animation skills. One night, we heard this song, this looping, and it was like 1 o'clock in the morning. And it was a trailer that she did for one of her episodes called Fleeing the Alien. And it was hilarious. I walked over there, and it was a short 10-second clip, and it was absolutely hilarious. And I was like, oh, yeah, we're on the right track here. This is good. This is good. It's 1 o'clock in the morning. There's all these sounds, but this is good.
He has a plan to save us all. Let's get out of here! He's out there.
When Dani saw that my husband had his own company and I had my own company because I used to own a travel agency, she thought, well, everybody has their own company. So she thought, okay, well, I want my own company. She told me that she wanted her own company. Like, okay, well, that's cute, 11 years old. So she was about 12 or 13 when she said, well, how do I get my company started?
At 14, this is when Parlay Animation Studios was launched. It's now called the Animation.
She decided really young that she was going to start a company just for people with autism and to help them. And they could do it, it's an untapped resource.
The unemployment rate for people on the autism spectrum hasn't changed that much. But it's, like I said, it's still getting better. But my goal is to inspire people on the autism spectrum that if I can do it, they can do it, like me with my own animation company.
The entertainment industry is very difficult, and somebody that's completely normally abled has a challenge in that environment.
Although she's got an animation company, that she's trying to put together and grow, and hopefully we're keeping our fingers crossed that all of that is going to work out. But what if it doesn't? There is no guarantee, especially when you start a company.
When it comes to communication skills, for the animation industry, I find it fun, yet it's also work because networking is very important in the animation industry because when you get to know people, sometimes they would help you.
How does it feel like being the host of the Annie Awards this year?
Well,
There are a lot of warrior moms out there that fight for their kids, and a lot of warrior fathers too. They are advocating for the world to come to their kids, not for them to teach the kids how to come to the world. And so we've hopefully taught Dani how to come to the world and not expect the world to come to her.
I'm usually very positive. I'm usually positive, outgoing, and I love to socialize with people when there's an opportunity, whether it's in the autism community, in the animation industry, or whether outside.
She thought she had friends, but they weren't really her friends. They just kids she knew. She always was by herself, even during lunch and ate lunch by herself in school. They didn't go and sit next to her and hang out with her. They just don't. Nobody really does.
I always hang out with the older people all the time because they are very understanding with people with autism.
Me and my friends have recently opened a friendship school, not only for all ponies, but also for hippogriffs, griffins, yaks, dragons, and changelings.
Over the course of, 13 years now, we've really worked with her, nurtured her, and really taken her strengths and used those really to help her develop as an individual And then also, as we discovered more and more about autism, we really decided that we should use her as an example.
She's now paired up with Spectrum Laboratories, because Spectrum Laboratories has the same idea, but they're teaching their kids the music and acting and voice acting and so on. And she's teaching the animation department.
Dani has such a love for teaching younger artists on the autism spectrum animation that it just went really hand in hand with the mission statement for Spectrum Laboratory. I think more than anything else, Dani is just an inspirational person that is kind of someone that a lot of our students look up to. They say, oh, I want to be Dani Bowman. Like Faith in our class always says, one day I want to be like Dani Bowman, you know, so. It's cool to have her as a mentor, as a teacher at Spectrum Laboratory, to be able to pay her for her job. And also just to help her continue to teach artists on the spectrum and to spread her voice and to show how much she can do. Because not only is she a great animator, she's a great teacher and a great mentor.
Hopefully, Danimation Entertainment will be producing like feature films, TV series, books, comics, merchandises, you name it, as part of the Danimation Entertainment subsidiaries, a major company, corporation for Danimation.